Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time we got the pleasure of watching Bankir from the Russian server playing in the Tier 6 American turreted tank destroyer. It is the M36 Jackson. Although when this vehicle first went into the game, it was designated as the Slugger, and if you do play this tank, do check out your replay files, and they still are the M36 Slugger. Now I'm featuring this vehicle and this replay here for a variety of reasons. Number one, Bankir is going to play absolutely tremendously, and there's a lot of tips and tricks that we're going to be able to pick up along the way, and it's one of the best replays I've seen in a while, especially towards the mid-tiers, and that leads me on to another reason why I wanted to feature this replay. I know I'm guilty of constantly featuring high-tier tanks on the channel. I can't really help it. I enjoy the high-tier vehicles, and it's very easy to be wowed and awed when somebody does 14,000 damage in a brand new tank, but that's not to mean that I don't respect that one of the most asked things that when I was at TankFest, when I had the lovely pleasure of meeting so many of you, probably several hundred of you, was constantly asking, so what should I do? What should I change? What should I try and do better? What do you want to see more of? What am I doing well? What am I not doing well? And one of the biggest responses was to try and feature some more mid and low tier gameplay. So that's as well why I'm going to be featuring the Jackson, and do let me know if you want to see some more low tier tanks on the channel, or if you hate the low tier tanks, you only want to see the high tier combat. But another reason why I wanted to feature this replay today is because Bankir is going to be using all but the most basic of loadouts on his Jackson. Look at his equipment to start off with: binoculars, camo net, demountable. Those are two of the first things that I would recommend that anyone purchase. They're big purchases in World of Tanks, because you can use them on all of your vehicles, of course, and they make a tremendous difference, especially to the mid to long range combat, right? Now he's probably also using a gun rammer along with that, because remember that this vehicle can't use improved ventilation, I believe, because it is open top, or at least it used to be open top when Wargaming decided to not give it improved vents. Haha, sweet shot there on that. Is that the Tier 7 American self-propelled gun, the M12, and he has been vanquished by the E25 on Bankir's team. And just look at his consumables. Small, small, small. You know what? That's a pretty good effort right there. And also only 5 gold rounds, so to say, or premium rounds, whatever you want to be calling them. I think they are gold rounds. I don't think you can afford to fire the amount that people are firing these days. But then again, with only 5 premium rounds loaded, we're going to have to see how Bankir is going to be able to handle this all but the worst of matchups for himself. There's an OHO on the enemy team, a T-34. God forbid that he's going to have to fight those tanks. He's going to probably need more than 5 premium rounds to be able to go through the front of an OHO reliably. But maybe Bankir will have to adapt to the situation. Now, the Jackson. What is good about it? A lot of people will have completely ignored this tank because, of course, everybody loves the Hellcat, right? The other Tier 6 American turreted tank destroyer. But what not a lot of people realize is the Jackson kind of outperforms the Hellcat at pretty much everything apart from mobility. For example, the vehicle fires 7.5 rounds a minute. That's a very decent rate of fire, with 240 alpha and 160 millimeters of penetration. You know what? Back in the day, some Tier 8 medium tanks would have been pretty happy to have that. Well, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. But you're not doing bad when you think that, for example, the FV4202, that Tier 8 British premium medium tank, does fire 7.5 rounds a minute and it has less alpha damage than this. And so your DPM isn't that bad in the Jackson. It's a little bit better than the Hellcat. You're firing an extra half a round a minute. Also, one thing that's lovely about the Jackson is it carries 50% more ammunition. And so that means that even though Bankir is on nearly 2,000 damage here, well, he just surpasses it, 2,200 damage here, he's still got enough ammunition left over to give himself a chance. The Hellcat, I believe, carries only about 30 rounds, so you really start to struggle towards the mid part of the battle. And it also means that you have to start wasting premium APCR ammunition when you start running out of AP rounds in a good matchup, which is very frustrating. Also, the Jackson has better dispersion. It can snap its shots in. That means it's got better dispersion when moving. It's also got better dispersion when it's turning its turret. So you can just launch them in. And so here we see Bankir using his premium ammunition at the front of the OHO, as you would expect. A couple rounds go in, 1 round doesn't. So it's not the OHO, it's actually the ONI. That shows you really how brutal those Tier 7 Japanese heavy tanks are, that the 243 millimeters of premium penetration of the Jackson struggle to go through. But wow, what an incredible replay so far. 4 kills, 3,200 damage. And it's now still neck and neck. But unfortunately for Bankier, his team have lost a couple of their tier 8s while the enemy have lost, is that none of their tier 8s? Oh no, sorry, one of the tier 8s with the ISU 152. Oh, the OHO narrowly missing Bankier. One thing that this tank does have though is terrible reverse speed. You don't want to be reversing in this tank, you've got to turn it around and make use of it. Now, funnily enough, it's actually an artillery that's capping out right now. And Bankier decides, oh, there's no way in hell that he's not going to die to the box tank and the OHO. And so he decides to pull back to try and, I guess, clear the flank of the T-34-100 before he turns around to have to deal with a whole wealth of tier 8 tanks advancing down that flank. So, while the Jackson is not exactly very nippy, it's got a 42 km/h top speed limit, while the Hellcat is a much more nippy 72 km/h. And the power to weight ratio on this tank is 14, just under 14.5 compared to the Hellcat's amazing 22.5. But this vehicle does make up for it with its frontal hull armor, although in a matchup like this, kind of irrelevant, right? It has 114mm on the lower plate and 60mm on the upper plate. So pro tip, if you are engaging one of these tanks, do not shoot this part here unless it is completely flat and you have the lower plate. The worst part that you can shoot of the tank is here. Shoot the upper plate or hopefully try and get the side armor, which is rather weak. And also this vehicle does have a bit of a better mantlet. Now this is where Bankier has got his work cut out for him. There's a T-25 pilot on his team on 3 hit points. And he's going to have to deal with... Whoops, sorry, I missed that there. That box tank just came around the corner. I did not expect that one. Well, nice ambush by Bankier there to change the 2 versus 3, so to say, into a 2 versus 2. But really, while that does mean a lot, and he's taken out a vehicle that could have one-shot him on the enemy team, it's more of a case of he's got 2 tier 8 tanks and pretty good players near full health that are going to be coming at him that he has to contend with, and only 1 gold shell left. And he does tell that to his T-25 pilot. That's exactly what he says, is that I have 1 premium shell, he says gold shell, left. So don't expect me to be penetrating them in the front. So I guess what he needs to do is he needs to try and get the side of the OHO. He needs to try and hopefully get the side of the T-34, or at least engage him at short to mid ranges. He tells the T-25 pilot to fall back, but he doesn't quite manage to get all the way. And he puts his first round into the T-34. The T-34 seems to know exactly where he is, though. Well, maybe not, actually. He turns his attention to the side, and he manages to put his second round in there. 556 hit points remaining on the T-34. He's going to have to shoot him at least 3 more times if he wants to shut him down. There you go. His sixth sense does go off. Now the T-34 definitely knows where he is, but he's caught him right out in the open. Now with 482 hit points remaining, this is a tier 6 tank destroyer going after a tier 8 heavy tank. Oh, the T-34 misses. And now Bankier has him exactly where he wants him. 7.5 rounds a minute rate of fire. Way better than the 4 rounds a minute rate of fire that T-34 is capable of. And he takes out Anonymous on the enemy team. I do like that name right there. Now Bankier secures his top gun. 5,000 damage dealt. Oh, the OHO narrowly misses him there. Is he going to try and even waste the shell on the front of the tank? He's trying to find the shot. The penetration indicator doesn't quite work, and good luck trying to go through the front of an OHO with 160mm of penetration. Now with 750 hit points left, if the Jackson rolls high, he should be able to kill him in 3 shots right now. But this is going to be a massive challenge. We heard with the immense blast that the OHO let out, a gigantic roar from that Japanese behemoth, that he is using the derp gun. Which means that if he hits Bankier, it's likely that he's going to be taking him out in a single shot. But oh wait, Mr. OHO, what are you doing? Bankier finds the tracking shot. Great marksmanship there, and locks him in place. Oh, fantastic stuff. He's going to retrack him and also damage his hull. And now the OHO realizes, okay, I've got to use my repair kit. Comes in, tries to ram him. Bankier gets out the way, puts around into the side, and the OHO whiffs the shell over the top of the tank, but 278 hit points. He's low rolling. He's not going to be able to kill him. Surely with 1 more shell, he's got to finish him off again. And the OHO's rate of fire isn't great, but it certainly isn't that bad. He's going to try and find the shot. He tracks him. He's going to try and get the side. Don't go there. He's going to depress the gun. Bankier sees it, and instead, oh, that was such a beautiful moment. Let me try and explain the intricateness of what happened there at the end. That was such beautiful awareness and play by Bankir. Now, if you've played one of the Japanese super heavies, you'll know how annoying these mini turrets are over the front of the tank. And you saw when Bankir was thinking about going round to the side to get the weak part of the Oho's armor, that would have meant that the Oho would have been able to depress the gun to the side of the mini turret and be able to engage him. So Bankir quickly reacted, kept to the front of the tank, and put a shot right in through the side of the tracks and takes down a tremendous carry in all but the worst of matchups with the most basic of loadouts. What a result. Bankir scores a magical result here, an ace tanker for 2,307 base experience points. That's what happens if you do pretty much about 5 or 6 times a decent game's worth of damage in a tier 6 tank to higher tiered opponents. In addition, he receives the Halonen's medal for destroying 2 enemy tanks that were 2 tiers higher than him, a high caliber for that 5,740 damage dealt, and a tank sniper for dealing most of that at 300 meters range, and a top gun for his 7 kills. And the best thing about playing mid-tier tanks without spamming premium rounds or premium consumables is that Bankir makes a tasty 50k profit. And that's because the Jackson is a textbook example of a vehicle that a free-to-play player should use to still try and make some profit, i.e. high penetration on its standard rounds, which are also exceptionally cheap, in this case 255 credits to do 240 damage. And combine that with enough DPM to pick apart your enemies quickly, you're onto a real winner. So Bankir, congratulations to you on this tremendous replay, and Spicy Babel Shoy for uploading it on the whatreplays.ru portal. And I hope you don't mind that I loved your replay so much that I wanted to share it with the English-speaking community as well. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, I'm going to be finishing off my grind, and I've only got about another 5,000 experience to be able to get the WZ-111 5A. So I'm going to be playing through from tier 1 up to tier 10 of the Chinese heavy tank line, as I expect a lot of you will be doing right now, to be able to get your hands on the newest and arguably one of the greatest tier 10 vehicles. And if you've never been to one of my Tech Tree showcases, they're basically like miniature tank reviews starting from tier 1 ending up at tier 10, so you can see if it's a tech tree that looks interesting to you, or if you've already picked up the tanks, maybe pick up a few tips and tricks in them. And so really looking forward to seeing all of you right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching, you've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.